In the book of Romans, the Apostle Paul, under divine inspiration, reaches a crescendo of praise and wonder as he contemplates the depth of God's wisdom, knowledge, and judgments. In chapter 11, verse 33, Paul exclaims, "Oh, the depth of the riches both of the wisdom and knowledge of God! How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out!" This verse encapsulates Paul's profound reflection on the mystery of God's sovereignty and the salvation of both Jews and Gentiles. It is a declaration of awe and reverence for the inscrutable ways of God, whose wisdom surpasses human understanding. When Paul speaks of the depth of the riches of God's wisdom and knowledge, he is acknowledging the unfathomable depths of God's divine counsel and understanding. God's wisdom is vast and inexhaustible, beyond the comprehension of mortal minds. It encompasses his perfect plan for redemption and restoration, which unfolds throughout history. Furthermore, Paul marvels at the unsearchable nature of God's judgments and his ways. The word unsearchable conveys the idea of something that cannot be fully explored or understood by human intellect alone. God's judgments, his decisions and decrees are beyond human scrutiny or critique. His ways, his methods and purposes are beyond human comprehension. In contemplating the depth of God's wisdom, knowledge, judgments, and ways, Paul is led to a place of humility and adoration. He recognizes the limitations of human understanding and the supremacy of God's sovereignty. Paul's exclamation serves as a reminder that God's ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Isaiah chapter 55, verse 9. Moreover, Paul's reflection on the depth of God's wisdom and knowledge is intimately connected to the overarching theme of Romans, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ. Throughout the letter, Paul expounds on the gospel message that salvation is by grace through faith in Jesus Christ alone. He emphasizes the universality of sin and the need for redemption for both Jews and Gentiles. In chapter 11, Paul addresses the issue of Israel's rejection of the gospel and the inclusion of the Gentiles in God's plan of salvation. He explains that God has not rejected his people Israel, but has temporarily hardened their hearts to make way for the salvation of the Gentiles. However, Paul also affirms that God's plan includes a future restoration of Israel. Therefore, when Paul declares, "Oh, the depth of the riches both of the wisdom and knowledge of God," in verse 33, he is acknowledging the sovereign and mysterious ways of God in bringing about the salvation of all people through the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is a declaration of praise for God's wisdom, which orchestrates all things according to his divine purpose and for his glory. Romans chapter 11, verse 33, invites believers to join Paul in marveling at the depth of God's wisdom, knowledge, judgments, and ways. It challenges us to humble ourselves before the sovereignty of God and to trust in his perfect plan of redemption. Ultimately, it directs our gaze to the gospel of Jesus Christ, through whom God's infinite wisdom and knowledge are revealed, and in whom we find salvation and hope for eternity.